Hey folks, this is Kalani. There are a lot of huge class nerfs coming this week, and some of them are for very powerful or popular classes and specs like Augmentation Evoker, so many of these won't be too much of a surprise, but that doesn't mean they won't hurt just as badly. There are some big buffs coming through as well, so it's not all bad news. This week also gave us clarification on how certain tier set acquisitions in Season 3 will work, and we could end up getting our 4 set bonuses much faster when compared to previous seasons. There are also some really cool mounts as well as some dungeon balance changes to go over, so let's break it all down and see what's been going on this week in WoW. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. Let's kick things off with the class changes, and you might want to buckle up for this week. We have a lot of nerfs coming through for some very powerful and popular specs. To start with, the Blood Death Knights have a quick change to their 2-set bonus to make it trigger from runic power consumption rather than bone shield charges. For Frost Death Knight, the 4-set bonus was nerfed down to a 30% chance to trigger and a 6-second cooldown reduction for Empower Rune Weapon, down from a 40% chance and 10 seconds cooldown reduction. Demon Hunters have a lot of changes this week. Spectral Sight will be a flat 1 minute 30 seconds cooldown, which is important because the way Fodder to the Flame works will be totally different. It will now be linked to Spectral Sight. It sounds like you reveal or spawn the demon by using Spectral Sight, giving you full control over when you're going to get your big buff. Fodder to the Flame demons also take lethal damage from I-Beam and Fell Devastation, and you get the buff immediately instead of having to wait for you to pick up the soul. That's very interesting, and more control over this kind of buff will always be a plus. Metamorphosis cooldown was reduced down to 3 minutes, which is also huge. Darkness now has a 15% chance to avoid all damage from an attack, which is doubled in party content, and then First of the Illidari was also removed. For Havoc specifically, Metamorphosis duration was reduced by 4 seconds, Demonic Appetite is going to be baseline, and Fell Eruption is also baseline, so you'll have that single target stun without having to spend an extra talent point. Glaive Tempest was buffed up but had its cooldown increased. Fell Barrage has been redesigned to no longer be a channel and to last for as long as you have Fury. Momentum was changed to be a lower damage buff but last longer, and you can extend it up to 30 seconds instead of just 10. There are various new talents. Some talents have been moved around and others have been removed, and quite a lot of talents were also changed to only be 1-pointers. And then Fell Rush damage was also increased by 60% because why not? Remember that this is only the first round of changes for the big Demon Hunter rework, so expect to see many more changes as the weeks go by. It looks to be off to a great start though. And then squeezed in right at the end there, the Vengeance 2-set was also changed to have a reduced chance to trigger for each target beyond the first. Moving on to the Druids, it looks like Guardian might be getting nerfed quite badly. The Thrash Rage generation from Blood Frenzy will now have a target cap, and while it's not mentioned in the notes, apparently the cap is going to be 5 targets. That's a huge nerf to Bear's potential in big packs especially, so Guardian might actually fall from its top tanking spot with this change in play. The 2-set was buffed up though, so that's something at least. And then for Restoration, Cenarius' Guidance no longer summons an additional Grove Guardian at the beginning of Incarnation. Cenarius' Guidance reduces the cooldown of Incarnation by an extra second, and Grove Guardians have been added to the totem bar to help keep track of them. Evokers are in a bit of a pickle this week, or at least the Augmentation Evokers are. The nerfs are finally coming through. Aspect's Favor was knocked down to a 2 and 4% increase, down from 3 and 6% increase. Molten Blood Absorption was cut in half, reduced by 50%, though it will not count in PvP, so that's nice at least. Ebon Might was reduced down to 8% of the Evoker's primary stat, down from 10%, so that is a 20% nerf to the overall effectiveness of Ebon Might, which definitely isn't ideal for Augmentation Evokers going forward. I'll be interested to see how these changes affect Season 3 compositions, for Mythic Plus especially, and whether Augmentation Evokers can hold their spot in both Mythic Plus and in raids. For Preservation, the previous Spirit Bloom buff was entirely reverted, so that 25% bonus has now been taken back, and then Rewind was actually nerfed as well, down to 33% of damage taken in the last 5 seconds when it used to be 40%. This doesn't surprise me too much. The dev team have said that they want to try and reduce the power of certain raid-wide cooldowns or effects, so expect to see quite a few other similar nerfs as we work our way through the notes. Mages have a few changes as well this week, but it's only for the new set bonuses coming in patch 10.2. The Arcane 2 set was buffed up to 20 seconds from 15 seconds, and then the 4 set only requires 3 clear casting stacks down from 6. For Fire, the 2 set will increase crit by 4% per stack, up from 3% per stack, and the 4 set was increased up to a 150% bonus, up from 100%. Next up, we have the Monks. Jade Serpent Statue Soothing Mist healing was increased by 40%, so that's a good start. For Mistweavers specifically, the 2 set bonus was buffed up to 20% from 15%, and Healing Elixir has been redesigned as a passive effect to just auto-drink an elixir if you drop below 35% health, and then Unison's Rage was bumped up to 40 yards. For the Windwalkers, the 2 set bonus was increased up to a 150% buff to Blackout Kick, and then the 4 set was doubled up to 2 seconds. Apart from that, there's just a few other bug fixes and updated tooltips. More nerfs are coming through for Holy Paladins. They had another 2% tacked onto their overall healing reduction debuff, so that's up to 5% now. Hand of Divinity was cut in half down to a 40% bonus. Saved by the Light was increased by 50%. Blessed Focus was also buffed up to a 40% bonus. Merciful Aura Healing was increased, but the increased effects of Aura Mastery were cut down to 20%. Touch of Light Healing was reduced down to a 500% increase from a 700% increase. Word of Glory Healing was buffed up by 10%, Barrier of Faith was halved down to 25%, and Aura Mastery with Devotion Aura was also reduced down to 12%, so another nerf to raid-wide cooldowns. For protection, the 2 set was changed to straight damage reduction instead of armor, so 2% damage reduction which stacks up to 5 times. 10% damage reduction sounds way better than 10% armor though, so this looks like a huge buff. For retribution, both the 2 set and the 4 set bonus have changed. It looks like a buff and nerf for the 2 set, but just a straight nerf for the 4 set. Priests are next, and they have quite a few changes. Power Word Life had its mana cost increased, had its cooldown reduced, its healing was increased by 500%, but now you can only use it on targets below 35% health, so it's going to be less flexible, but also less finicky. For Discipline specifically, Ultimate Penitence now takes your target into account, so you can focus it more onto DPS or healing, depending on what you are targeting. Embrace Shadow was removed. Shadow Covenant now matches the duration of Mindbender, but it won't provide as big of a boost when used with Mindbender. Penance damage and healing were increased by 15%, some talents moved around in the tree, Void Summoner was buffed for Shadow Fiend, and Expiation and Wheel and Woe were both buffed up by quite a bit. So Disc Priests are looking pretty good going forward. Holy isn't looking as great this week. Prayer of Mending Healing is down 5%, Prismatic Echoes was cut down to 4 and 8% from 6 and 12%, Echo of Light Healing is also down 15%, Divine Images, Dazzling Light and Blessed Light Healing were both nerfed quite considerably, Trail of Light replicates healing at 13 and 25% down from 18 and 35%, so another pretty bad nerf there. Pontifex was increased up to 20%, stacking 2 times, and Echo of Light will tick more often, so quite a few nerfs to Holy Priest throughput with a slight change to how their mastery is going to work. The rogue rework continues to take shape, but this week is a bit weird. Airborne Irritant has been moved to the class tree, and Marked for Death has been completely removed. For Assassination, the 4 set was bumped up by 230%, so, just a small buff there. Caustic Spatter is up 5%, Indiscriminate Carnage lasts way longer, and Scent of Blood will stack up faster, but its cap has been reduced. For Outlaw, Grand Melee has been adjusted, Crackshot damage has been reduced down to 75% of normal damage, and Dread Blades has been removed completely, which was definitely a bit of surprise reading these notes through for the first time. For Subtlety, Stiletto Staccato and Stunning Secret have been removed. They like their alliteration for subtlety abilities, don't they? Gormor's Bite cooldown was reduced to 45 seconds, and Secret Technique damage has been increased by 12%. Shamans only have a few changes this week. To start with, Elemental will see their 4 set get redesigned to provide extra cleave or damage over time effects. For Restoration, Ancestral Awakening is getting nerfed down to 10 and 20%, down from 15 and 30%, and then the 2 set and 4 set bonuses have been adjusted, with the 4 set getting slashed in half. Warlocks are up next with a quick 4 set redesign for Affliction. I imagine the set bonuses will change quite a bit before the patch hits live servers though, so keep your eyes on those. But for Demonology, oh boy, what a list we have here. There are some huge buffs coming through for Demo. All Nether Portal Demon's damage increased by 30%, Gul'dan's Ambition is being redesigned, Demonic Tyrant's Demon Fire damage is up 30%, Reign of Tyranny has also been redesigned, and then we have buffs for Demon Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan, Wild Imp, Implosion, Shadow Bolt, Cold Dreadstalkers, Grimoire Felguard, and Doombrand. All of them are up 25 or 30%, which is quite a long list of their main abilities all getting large buffs. I guess the dev team really wants Demo to get some playtime in this patch. A few of the talents have been redesigned, and the 2-set and 4-set bonuses have also changed quite a lot. Destruction isn't being left out here. Rain of Fire damage is up 15%, and the 2-set and 4-set bonuses have also been redesigned to provide some splash damage and also interact with Immolate ticks. And then we round out things with the Warriors. Rallying Cry is getting nerfed, so they really want to reduce the effectiveness of raid-wide cooldowns. That's now 10% health bonus down from 15%, so that's going to make Warriors a little less useful going forward. Inspiring Presence has also been removed. For arms specifically, Slam damage is up 25%, but improved Slam's crit strike damage increase was knocked down to 10% from 30%. For protection, both the 2-set and 4-set have seen some changes, with the 4-set going up to 3 seconds of cooldown reduction, up from 1. That's all for the class changes this week. They're definitely starting to shake things up a bit, and hopefully Season 3 will be better balanced when compared to Season 2. Remember that all of these changes are for the patch 10.2 PTR, so you won't see them on live servers just yet, and of course everything is still subject to change. I'll keep you up to date with the PTR changes as the builds come through. Now, there was one other major balancing change in this week's PTR build, but it wasn't for classes, it was for Mythic plus dungeons. There are individual changes here and there, but the one that I'm most interested in is a large increase to both monster health and monster damage across the board. So the health of all creatures in all dungeons was increased by 14%, so everything is going to take a bit longer to kill, but then the damage of all creatures and abilities was increased by about 13% as well. This may be due to the new gear rewards we can expect in the new season. Pretty much everything will drop 1 tier higher, or around 13 item levels higher when compared to previous seasons. Basically, our item levels going from Season 2 to Season 3 are going to jump much higher than usual, so our character's power level will also jump up, which could make content much easier if it wasn't also appropriately scaled. I'm not sure if that's why we're seeing this change right now, or if the dev team just want to make dungeons harder overall and in general. We'll have to wait and see how the dust settles when the patch does go live, but for now the plan seems to be for dungeons to be a good bit harder than they already were. Moving on, the latest PTR build also confirmed that certain tier set acquisition methods from Season 2 will be sticking around in Season 3, which is a bit of a welcome surprise. When the dev team first revealed that the Revival Catalyst would open up in the first week of Season 3, my first big question was quite simply, alright, that's great, so which other source of tier sets are we going to lose? In Season 2 we had the Mastery Achievement, which rewarded you with a token that you could trade in for any piece of tier gear at the Heroic Raid item level. That was pretty huge, especially for Mythic Plus and PvP players, because the achievement could be attained through any type of endgame content. So that was a huge bonus. Then we also had the Omni tokens from Sarkarath, which allowed you to easily fill in gaps to get your 4-set bonus super quickly, because you could just choose which gear slot that Omni token would then turn into. With the Catalyst opening up so early in Season 3, I had assumed that at least one of these sources would be removed for Season 3, but I was completely wrong. The latest build shows that both the Mastery Achievement and the Omni tokens will be returning in Season 3. The Dragonflight Season 3 Master Achievement requires you to clear the raid on Heroic mode, reach Challenger 2 in PvP, or get 2000 Mythic Plus score. The Omni tokens will drop from the last boss in the raid, so the same as Season 2, and they will be called Flame Touched Curios. You hand them in for a piece of tier gear of your choice at the difficulty you killed the boss on. So getting your 4-set bonus should be much faster than previous seasons. You can get one piece from the Revival Catalyst in the first week, you can then get the Mastery Achievement Heroic piece as quickly as you can complete the requirements. I know a lot of high-end Mythic Plus Dungeoneers and Raiders will be getting that in the first week of the season, so that's 2 pieces of tier you can get in the very first week, and that's without relying on any RNG or drops. If you then clear the raid, you'll have plenty of chances to fill in those last 2 tier slots, and then the final boss of the raid has even more chances with the Omni tokens dropping. And then if all else fails and you get super unlucky and you don't see any extra tier set pieces from the raid or the last boss or from your weekly vault, because remember the weekly vault does have a chance to have a tier piece even if you're just doing dungeons or PvP, after 2 weeks if you get nothing at all, you will then have another charge for the catalyst to just create another piece of tier gear for yourself. So by the 3rd week of the season, I imagine most raiders will have their 4 set bonus completed. If you stick to just Mythic Plus PvP or solo content, you will have to wait for the catalyst charges to come through or just get lucky on your weekly vault, but that's going to be sooner than previous patches as well. So no matter what kind of player you are, getting your 4 set bonus is going to be easier and faster than before in patch 10.2. And then the last thing I wanted to go over in this week's video is some cool new mounts. Usually I save the mounts for their own dedicated video, but these ones look particularly cool and fit in perfectly with the Emerald Dream theme of the patch. We have green, almost ghostly versions of some really cool looking mounts, including some of the new models for mounts coming in this patch. If you haven't seen those yet, we will have a video going over every mount in the patch and where to get it before it goes live, so keep your eyes peeled for that. The Dream Talents look really cool, but there are Dream Stags, Salamanders, Otterks, so many options from this one system. Now getting your hands on these mounts seems to be quite easy, though we're not entirely sure how it's all going to work. At Renown 5 with the new Dream Wardens faction, you'll unlock the ability to infuse creatures with the Dream. This seems to be linked to a new Dream Infusion currency. We're not too sure how to get our hands on this just yet, but it's probably safe to assume it's something related to the zone. You can use these infusions to buy pets or mounts, but only if you have that kind of pet or mount already in your collection. So you won't be able to buy the Mag Mammoth Dream mount if you don't already have at least one Mag Mammoth mount. That's an interesting way of handling it and encourages you to go out and grab some other mounts if there's a Dream version that you're wanting to collect as well. When we get more info about this particular system, I'll be sure to keep you updated, but they look really cool so far. But that's all of the updates we have for this week, so that's it for this video. What do you think of the huge class nerfs coming through for certain specs? Are there any specs or classes that you still think need big buffs or nerfs, and how do you feel about tier set gear being even easier to acquire in patch 10.2? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.